Hey folks, Cool18 here, and welcome to another episode of Let's Play Kerbal Space Program, and we are edging ever closer to the point where we're going to build a permanent base, or semi-permanent base at least, on either Moon or Minmus. Haven't decided which one exactly. But there's a few things we need to do before we get there. First of all, we actually don't have the tech for a self-sustaining base on any one of those planets, but that's okay. We could send them there with just, a year or two of food supply, and be ready for resupply runs, and maybe, at some future time, send them something that will offer a permanent ability to stay there, like a greenhouse, for example. We can always attach that later on. But even before we get to that point of launching our non-self-sustaining station, we've got at least two missions that I want to do first. And these are not actually part of contracts, so we're sort of breaking things there, but we have a contract to build a station on one of these planets. I don't remember which ones, or one of these moons. Surface outpost on Minmus. We actually might have one. We have one for Duna as well, but that's going to wait a little bit longer. Yeah, surface outpost of Minmus, and of course our space casino, which we'll get to at some point. Space casino! It's got to have at least 4 asteroids attached to it. So that's not going to get built for quite some time. But what I want to do before I put my people on the moon or on Minmus for an extended period of time to crunch science, I want to make sure to level up my scientists, because when you put your scientists in the science modules, the rate at which they process data into science is dependent on their level. So I am going to run, I've got Space Bus 2B over here. This is going to be a special mission that is, whose purpose is to give experience points to a bunch of Kerbals. So what we're going to do is, well, we're gonna do a flyby of a couple of things. To get to level 1, so to get to a Kerbal, I have the page up here. To get a Kerbal from level 0 to level 1, they need 2 experience points. And you can do that very simply by entering into Kerbin orbit. But we're going to target level 2 for a Kerbal. So to get to a total of level 2, you need a total XP of 8. And to do that, one of the easiest things to do, as far as I can tell, is, first of all, you launch them, and of course once you launch you will get into orbit of Kerbin, and then what we're going to do is we're going to actually escape Kerbin completely, such that we are going to be inserted into solar orbit. As soon as we escape the sphere of influence of Kerbin, assuming we're not going too fast, we will still be in a very comfortable orbit around Kerbal, which is the sun. And in orbit of the sun, as soon as you get into orbit of sun, you don't have to actually complete a full orbit, you will get 6 experience points. So 2 from Kerbin, 6 from Kerbal, that is 8, that is enough for level 2. So at which point we can just hit the brakes, let Kerbin catch up to us, and then we will simply land back on Kerbin. At least that is the plan. So this is our beast that we're going to do that with. I'm going to go ahead and throw this into the construction queue. We'll just set up this build right away. The next level up for level 3 would require 16 XP, and one of the easiest ways to do that seems to be to, so you get 2 from Kerbin, 3 from a Mooner orbit, and then 5 from landing, or rather 6 for landing and planting a flag on Minmus. That brings us up to 11. And then you can still do the Kerbal thing, which is another 6, which brings us up to 18 in total, which is enough to put us over the top for level 3. But we're not going to do that one. Well, perhaps we'll come to something very similar to that when we actually land our station, but they're not going to hit level 3 until they come back. So at this point, we've got nothing really to do except wait for the space buffs to be done. Do I have points to spend? I do. Yeah, let's go ahead and upgrade our primary rate over here and warp to completion. Dun, dun, dun. And there we go. We'll have to roll it out, and then we'll load it up with crew. Actually, what I'll probably need to do is purchase some more crew, or rather recruit some more crew. I don't know how many scientists we've got. I've got enough room on the space bus to have 1 pilot plus 8 passengers. I do want to bring at least 1 engineer. Make sure we have 1 well-experienced point engineer. This is the wrong building. I went into the Space Place hangar. I want to go into the Astronaut Center. Load time so long. Exit. Wish you didn't have to actually go back to the Science Center. I wish you could just tab between each of the individual buildings. There's probably a mod for that. This is the Astronaut Complex. That's what I'm looking for. So, right now I have 10 people. 1, 2 pilots. Oh, does this include these tourists? Maybe it does. Let's make sure we've got another scientist and some engineers. I don't know if we need an extra pilot that we want to feed experience points to. Let's go ahead and hire them. Because of mods and things, they're relatively cheap right now, so that's a thing. Okay. Roll out the space bus and warp to completion. And let's hope this all works. We'll do a little quick save before we actually launch, just to make sure that there's no crash when we change scenes. And there we go. Thank you very much. So let's just do that. And we can hide the contracts view and go here. So this flight here is not actually for a contract. But that's not the button I wanted to hit. I wanted to go here, VAB, and launch the space bus. Okay. We're going to clear everything. Our command pod is going to have a pilot, and ideally a new pilot. We'll give him some nice XP. Fabian over here. The remaining pods, we're going to go with scientists that are currently level 0. That's going to be the priority. As many scientists as possible. We will want one engineer, though, so I'll go ahead and put I've got wheels in there, and then see if we can find some more scientists. Oh, looks like... Good. Excellent. So we're going to have 7 scientists, 1 engineer, and 1 pilot. This is very similar to the mission that I'm actually planning on landing on Minmus. Well, it might be, I don't know, we might just have like 6 or 7 people as opposed to 8 or 9, but it's going to be something not too dissimilar to that. So 1 pilot, 1 engineer, a bunch of scientists. The engineer I want to level up because I believe you need your engineer to be at a certain rank to be able to do everything with the Kerbal attachment system. And that's what the next mission is going to be. So this mission is going to be experience points. The next mission is actually going to be performed entirely on the surface of Kerbal, and it's going to involve we need that, we need the orbit info, we don't need the contract, we don't need the alarm clock. It's going to involve just practicing with the Kerbal attachment system and Kerbal inventory system about how it works to assemble some bits and pieces on the ground, and then we're going to figure out what kind of payload we might want to bring with us. Anyway, we're going to go ahead. We do have a pilot, but of course we're going to use a flight computer. We have a probe core right at the top over there for this purpose entirely. We're going to lock ourselves vertically over here. We are at full throttle. Staging is okay. Everything at the bottom first. Then we drop off the fuel tanks. Then these can be combined here. We stage and activate the next engine. And then when it's time to come back, we do that sort of stuff. Okay, looks good to me. It's just a quick save before we hit the button, just so that the Kraken doesn't eat us. And go. All right, gentle liftoff. We have no fins or anything, but we should have plenty of gimbal power. It's interesting. Did night just fall as I launched? Now, what are these weird shadows being cast from? Where's the sun? Well, the sun sets in the west, so yeah, it's just barely there. Anyway, we got to go ahead and do our rollover. We've got so much gimbal power that I don't think we have to worry too much about this. We should be able to basically do our turns as we please and should be relatively happy about it. I'll go ahead and wait until right around then, and then, you know what, you can lock yourself to... Well, actually, I'm going to delay it a little bit before we go to surface prograde. We may be gravity turning a little too aggressively. It is still a relatively tall rocket. It doesn't look as tall because it's got some good amount of width there. But there we go. Okay, I'm going to say that's sufficiently delayed. Now you can just keep yourself locked on surface prograde. We're going to go ahead and throttle down here because we are starting to get some Mach effects. So we're getting some pretty rough drag here. Actually, we may end up rolling over a little bit more than this. Again, my goal, ideally, if I'm not worried about my ship flipping over, is to hit the 45-degree mark here when I hit about 15K. Just my own personal sort of little rule of thumb. And it looks like we're not quite going to get there. It is pitching over, though. I was going to change this to an actual hard number. Yeah, let's force it over to 60 degrees. Just pitch over a little bit more. We're still just on a fringe of our prograde circle, so we shouldn't get too much lateral drag. And since that looked okay, we'll go ahead and turn to a full 45 degrees at this point. And again, not getting much in the way of lateral drag. I can probably speed up at this point. And once the prograde catches up, I'll go ahead and lock itself back to surface prograde. Time to apoapsis is actually climbing a fair bit. Now we can bring down our speed a little bit, which will help to prevent that. It means we're going maybe a little bit steeper than we'd want to. Yeah, only now is our prograde at the 45 degree. So I'm going to go ahead and roll or pitch to 30 degrees just to try to flatten out my orbit a little bit. This is not an unmanned launch, so we really can be quite flat. We're not worried about losing our connection to the KSC at all. Now, we're going to want to be pointing prograde when we detach these engines, because if we're pointing sideways, it's possible these engines will end up smashing into us because of air pressure. Although at this point, the air is so thin that it stops being much of a problem. Let's just go ahead and switch to orbital prograde. Our apoapsis is actually climbing quite a bit. And detach, and they will go down. I don't have any parachutes on those components, but that's okay. At least I don't think so. I don't think I remember seeing them this stage, which is okay. Anyway, we're coming up on 100 over here. And we are good. We've got lots of fuel left in this tank. So we have more fuel. Like this tank here was still meant for a lot of our sort of in-orbital thing. I wanted lots of Delta V because I've got like a few maneuvers to do, and I didn't know exactly how much I would need, so I intentionally, you know, over-designed it and overkilled it. But as I always say, there's no such thing as too much overkill. Spend a little bit more money, but it's just taxpayer money, so who cares? All right, we do still have to circularize our orbit over here, because we do need the 2 experience points of actually being in orbit of Kerbin, not just doing a flyby. I did bring some science with us. Point yourself to the node, execute the maneuver when we get there, so in a minute and a half you'll start that burn, which is going to be fine. Solar particle analysis. Is this the one I have partial data for? Oh, things are extending, which is why it's taking a while. I get these little boxes. We're going to reset that. We're actually going to try to get our solar particle analysis from the sun. So this dish here, well, first of all, we've got this antenna. There we go. That's our omnidirectional antenna with a range of 3 million. And then we have this dish here, which is the KR7. Okay, not the KR8. So when we actually are outside of range of Kerbin, we might have a bit of an issue. But other than that, I'm actually just going to set the target to be like Kerbin in general, and hope that it can hit a satellite. This is a manned ship, which means we don't actually have to worry about losing our connection to the KSC. Everything will continue to work just fine. And also, being a manned ship, it means I can rearrange my what my satellite or what my dish is pointing to at any given time. So I can force it to point to a specific satellite. You'll see I've got quite a few more satellites in orbit, I think, since the last time you saw. I forgot to address that, actually. I've got a variety of these long-range comsats. Let's actually do a quick save. Can I quick save from that screen? Oh yeah, it did quick save. Good. Let me show you one of these. I've got some in equatorial orbit, and I've got some in oddball orbits as well. The Maxwell one was an altimetry science experiment. I had a mission to do an altimetry scan of Kerbin, and it's also a long-range satellite. So here's what my long-range satellites look like. They have a ridiculous amount of power, so I don't have to worry about being on the dark side of Kerbin. They have obviously got solar panels. They've got the antennas here, which is reinforcing my network over here. Even though like my satellites have obviously clumped up in a few different places, I'm aiming for an overkill amount of satellites in here so that I've always got a connection. I got lots of money, who cares? And then here I've got long-range dishes. We saw these on the live stream. They do go very, very far. They're 18 gigameters distance, which is huge, but they have a very, very narrow cone. Now, they should all be set to have one pointing to the active vessel, and then I think I have like one to Duna, one to Eve. Like, I can change these obviously from the KSC whenever I want, but the idea is it doesn't make much sense to point these at the moon because they have such a narrow beam that they're not going to cover much of the moon. They're really meant to cover things out far, far away, so they're just pre-set up for an eventual Duna and Eve mission, and the active ship, which is important. Well, if it's pointing to the active ship, then we don't have to worry about the narrow cone because it's always going to be hitting directly. Biggest question will be the active ship itself. If it's using a narrow cone, it may need to point to a specific satellite instead of the planet to keep the lock on. So, but that's that. So I've got a bit of a network of those sorts of things. I don't think you've missed too much else. Space bus debris. There we go. Switch to space bus itself. We should get the alert that we can get solar particles. Maybe I should have brought 2 of the solar particle arrays so that I can finally finish off the experiment here properly. But that's alright. You have your maneuver. Oh, you're past the maneuver node. Right, I was switched too long. Tell you what, let's kill this. Shoot, I hope I'm not gonna crash land back to the planet. Actually, point to the atmosphere. Because right now, we are on our way down. We've passed our apoapsis, so we're on our way down right now. This is particularly dangerous. However, we do have a crap ton of thrust. We have a crap ton of thrust. I think we're going to be fine. We're playing just above the atmosphere, so we're doing a bit of a radial burn at the same time, and I think that's probably a good thing. Yeah, I forgot about that. I switched satellites before I circularized. Oops. All right. Yeah, we're gonna raise our parry in time that we won't re-enter the atmosphere. I mean, even if we skimmed it a little, it wouldn't be the end of the world because we do have so much delta V. There we go. Oh, whoa. Still go orbital prograde. Actually, radio plus. We're still coming down. Our parry's too low. There we go. Engage the engine so we can actually steer a little bit here. And we're bringing down our parry right now. There we go. That way. There we go. Bring the parry up. I mean, we're pointing straight up from the planet right now. There we go. Okay. That was almost a massive disaster. It's a good thing I brought lots of extra delta V, huh? Alright, now we are fine. Our orbit is only slightly eccentric, actually. We're in decent orbit. We just had to spend some extra fuel for it because I did switch away way too soon. Okay, so now our mission will be a moon... What was it? Moon flyby? No, all I have to do is exit. That's right, I don't have to do the moon or the min-miss stuff. All I have to do is get into Kerbal orbit, and that will bring us up to 8 experience points. So you're going to be pointing prograde. I'm not convinced that it matters which side I burn. I suppose I might feel better if I was exiting ahead of Kerbin, because then I know that if I sort of just point at Kerbin, I can sort of, well, it doesn't matter really what side I burn on. As long as I point to Kerbin, I should be able to re-enter. Never quite done this before. So, I guess we don't have to delay. We're going to go ahead and start a maneuver here. So we're not going to exit ahead of Kerbin exactly. We're actually, this is pretty good. Because what's going to happen here, we're burning, especially if I wait till around, if I can grab the disc. Here, I'm effectively burning prograde to the sun, which means I'm going to put myself in a higher orbit than Kerbin, which means I'll be behind Kerbin. Does it matter? Because I'm only, like, I'm just going to burn, I don't think it matters. I'm just going to burn enough. Actually, I could potentially use a slingshot. And none of those seem particularly helpful. Ooh, that is helpful. Yeah, that is a big boost. If I do a flyby there... And then if I burned a little closer to it. And I'm just waiting for the moment where, oh, there we go, where my orbit breaks like that. Because what that means is I will be on an escape velocity out of Kerbin. But just barely. Just barely. And then I want to just turn around and try to hit the brakes. I have no idea if this is going to work. We might be stuck out in space forever. Let's just verify that we're not actually... Quick save before I change view here. So this is the moon encounter. We're not going to actually smack into the moon, no. I'm not even convinced that we're getting much of a slingshot effect here. I think really for the slingshot, what you want to do is you want to get yourself so that you're in a low... you're in a low parry around here, and then burn prograde to the moon when you're there, and that will swing you out a little bit further. But, you know, whatever. We'll see. So this is going to use 836 delta V, which is fine. Point yourself to the node. Get ready to execute the node when we get there. Now, we will have to stage partway through, which will mean we'll lose a lot of thrust to weight, which actually means I won't use this maneuver. I will just launch it myself, and I will launch it early, because the next stage will be a lot slower. So, assuming our thrust to weight would stay where it is right now, then we could just wait for 12 seconds before the node. But it's not gonna, and yeah, you know what? I want to burn now. And stage. There we go. Because now it's going to take a little over a minute to do it. And you know what? We're burning about a little over 30 seconds before the node. So that's actually going to balance out very well. Almost like I knew what I was doing. Alright, so this is growing. And again, I'm not going to pay attention so much about the delta V as much as I'm going to wait for us to reach Kerbal escape. Which will happen very fast at a certain point. When we get out here, I'm probably going to start throttling down. Because, yeah, it will be a very, very rapid little thing. And yeah, I'm sure I could plan a really efficient gravity slingshot to do this. Well, I'm sure a person could plan a very efficient gravity slingshot to do this. I am not that person. Wow, it's only about 100 extra delta V here. Although we may not get the moon encounter the same way. I think this slingshot's going to do quite a bit for us. And there we go. There's the moon encounter. And stop and just give it a little tap. And just wait for it to break. There we go. So we're not exactly where it was going to be, but that's all right. Go to kill rotation. We're not actually going to smack into the moon, so that's good. We got over 2,000 delta V. I think it's only going to need a teeny tiny little scooch when we're out here to re-enter the sphere of influence of Kerbal. But the problem is I'm not actually sure. All right, we're going to time warp, so you always quick save before you time warp because you never know when something horrible might happen. We're going to spend a little time over there, so I guess we're going to fast forward until we're in the sphere of influence of the moon. So we are going to get the lunar flyby experience, which will give us a little extra. That'll be worth, I think it's 2. I still have it open on my other screen here. Yeah, 2 experience for flying by the moon. You get 3 if you go into orbit. 4.6 if you land, and 5 if you plant a flag. Did I not tell you to fast forward? Oh, yeah, but you weren't doing it at the full rate. Fair enough. Okay, kill that. We'll just go through it times 50, which is a nice safe rate to go through. Any higher than that, actually, the game intentionally slows you down. Oh, we're in the sphere of influence of the moon now. So again, we're going to quick save before we do another time warp, and we're going to go there. And again, I think the best way to do a gravity slingshot is to sort of come up behind the moon, and then when you get close, possible in your parry, is then you go ahead and you hit on the gas to extend your orbit out of the moon. And because you'll be at a low parry, it's nice. And there we go. We are actually on an escape velocity. And then we will find ourselves in orbit around the sun, just next to our home planet. Okay, quick save again. And how long is it going to take to get there? 17 days. We do have lots of life support, if you were concerned about that. Where's... Oh, yeah, not on this screen. There we go. Wait. Apparently I don't. Maybe I was looking at the wrong calculations when I saw this. I thought we had like something like 400 days of supplies. I'll have to check it again once we're in the VAB. Actually, quick save. Let me check right now. What was I thinking? Was I looking at like the minimal crew numbers? Because I thought we had hundreds of days of food. Oh, I know what it was. I know what it was. It's because I added a second passenger compartment, and I don't think I double-checked my numbers after that. That was very like, well, no. All right, open. We've got, so first there was the Space Bus 2. This is just the idea, that's my tourist thing. With current crew, with max crew, that's exactly what happened. And then Space Bus 2B, I was just looking at the current crew line. See that? 300 days worth of food. But we don't. We have 34 days with a max crew. It's going to take us 17 days to get to our escape. Well, we might be okay. I'm mostly worried about the oxygen. They can last a few days without food, and they can last 2 hours without oxygen because of their tank, their personal suits. We can delete this debris. I think we may have just killed a bunch of people. Oh, man. So how much do we have exactly? 34 days, almost exactly on the button. Son of a... And it's going to take us 17 days, 2 hours to get out there. Well, nothing to do but wait and hope. How do we do this return flight? That is the question. Okay. So, let's quickly, plan a maneuver here. I don't know which side we're going on. Orbit doesn't actually map. Whoa. Blinking, blinking. 6 minutes. Okay. 3 minutes. So if we're here, and we slow ourselves down. Kerbin encounter. Good. And does it show me what the encounter to Kerbin will look like? No, it doesn't. Come on. Well, if I do a 225 retrograde burn, Kerbin will catch up to us in 5 minutes. Alright, let's point to the node, and you will execute the maneuver when we get there. Meanwhile, we can at least get a little bit of science, and we're going to try to broadcast some back, although we're probably out of range. No, we're not out of range. Huh, even though we don't have the big scope. EVA report? Sure. Grab and board. Wow, I didn't realize the ship would be spinning right now to do this. That's a little bit dangerous. Oh, it's having problems locking onto its maneuver. Oh, there we go. Let's just do a little time warp to help freeze it. Material study. Mystery goo. Solar particle. And keep that. And keep that. And we're going to keep that. It's not a ton of science, but it's something. As long as we don't kill everyone, hopefully we can get back. I suppose what we could do is we could jettison a couple of Kerbal. Make the food last longer. We're going to see what happens after this maneuver. So in 40 seconds, we've got our maneuver coming up. And we'll see what our re-entry looks like. Oh, man. Yeah, we could jettison a couple. Make sure we have enough life support. A couple of scientists are going to draw the short straw. Can't lose our pilot, even though we literally don't need our pilot, but it is a rule that I set up for myself. Alright, 30 seconds to node. And 10 seconds to maneuver. That would automatically cancel my time warp. Well, fair enough. Okay. So after we finish the maneuver, in 4 minutes, we should encounter the Kerbin sphere of influence again. I should have just burned directly to it. I don't know, whatever. This is fine. Now, technically, we're putting us into our lower solar orbit. So our time around the sun takes less time. But immediately, we're going slower, which is going to give the chance right now for Kerbin to catch up to us. Alright, quick save before we time warp. Times 50, and there's the encounter. So let's slow that all down. Kerbin encounter, 1 minute. Okay, never mind. Sometimes it does this, where it hops back and forth between encounters. Okay. So we will escape again there. So, but we are in Kerbin status now. So if we went orbital retrograde here, which is not the direction we're burning in before. Yeah, that's it. Well, I probably could have done this with less delta V, but one way or another, I'm not sure the time's going to make much of a difference. And you're go for burn. So this is going to close up our orbit with Kerbin. Interesting. We're still escaping at this point. Really? Really? I mean, it doesn't really matter. Shit. I bet you I missed a neat little maneuver there. Might not have been faster than just falling directly. I should really... Hold on. I made this mistake last time. Oh, can I not plan maneuver nodes? Are you going to do that again? I can't plan maneuver nodes right now. Oh, I hate when it does that. Let me quick save. Let me go to KSC and do that. Because that's what I should be doing here to make sure that there might not be, like, a cool slingshot maneuver. Well, the slingshots would use less delta V. I don't think that it would actually save me any time. Okay. Try this again. I mean, I should be able to plan maneuvers. You can plan maneuvers when you're doing a flyby. I'm not time warped. No, because I was just doing a burn. So clearly not. No, still can't. Alright, well, we got our quick save. If need be, we'll reload from the quick save, just because that'll be the same as having planned out a maneuver, in a sense. Parry is dropping. And we're going to get there. No, we don't have enough time. We will die. Well, we're going to do the Kerbal thing. We're going to inject some Kerbals. Well, that's technically a little bit low, although I don't think that'll kill us or anything. Oh, it's so cold. You can go to just kill mode, because we are going to keep killing some people here. Front hatch. Zorts. Zorts has done too many things. Nazazu. What? Oh, I'm transferring. I don't want to do that. EVA. Hello. Why did everything stop working now? What? There we go. EVA. Now, can I tell what your class is? No. What? How can I tell who my scientists are? Alright, the ship 18. How many people are we going to have to toss out? I guess I got to switch back to it. We're going to have to toss out a few. I'm going to go with the ones that aren't named, based on viewers. EVA Ormal. Alright, let go. Activate your suit. Goodbye. 21 days. Alright. Nope, that's not who we want to be. I want to be here. Release. Suit. Goodbye. I'm so sorry. You must die so the rest of us may live. Alright. 21 days exactly. 21 days exactly. So again, we could have cut it a little bit short. Well, less so with the oxygen. I can't believe I was looking at the wrong column when I was figuring out my life support. Again, my plan was to send them out here with hundreds of days of food. But I looked at the wrong column. Oh no! Well, sometimes you gotta break a couple of Kerbals to make a Kerbal omelet. Alright, periapsis, 5 kilometers. A little lower than I normally like, but it's going to be fine. What is this? Oh, that's the other side around. Alright, quick save. And time warp, especially since I can't say time warp 2. Although, I guess I could set an alarm. That would be a little safer. There we go. I can say, set a periapsis alarm. I'm going to use this screen here. Periapsis alarm. Warn me like 10 minutes before we reach peri. Which is going to be in 21 days. Okay. So now I can safely time warp at a pretty extreme rate. Wow, we're going so slow right now. Oh no! We're losing some Kerbals! Those are the ones outside the ship. And yeah, it will automatically slow me down when those things happen. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yep, there you go. These are all the things being tracked. They're officially out, and after 2 hours without oxygen, they will die. I'm so sorry, Nazasu and Ormal. And yeah, 2 hours without oxygen, they'll die. There we go. They should be dead at this point. Still being tracked to remind me of my failures. Oh well. We had tons of Delta V. I don't know if there was another way to shorten my trip back home. Maybe there would have. Like, I could have burned directly towards Kerbal, and then halfway there, flipped it around. I'm not sure that would have cut off much speed. Oh my god, you can see them on the map! Well, they will burn up in the atmosphere of Kerbal, so they're not going to float out there forever as a frozen husk. So there we go. We've got that going for us. Alright, time warp at 100,000 times. Running out. Oh no, but we still have 4 days left. Don't freak me out like that. We're going to be fine. I guess it's a percentage-based warning, probably. They're going to come in. They're going to be beautiful, beautiful shooting stars. Because it would have cost me nothing to add a little bit more food. And there we go. So right now, 14 minutes to our peri, which is when we're be within the atmosphere at that point. Oxygen won't be a problem. We still have a half an hour, and again, they have 2 hours of their suits internally. So we're going to be peachy keen. Thank you for that. We're still quite high. I'm not going to jettison the extra solar panels, although I do have some solar panels here. But I'm not going to jettison that stuff quite yet. Bring ourselves down more. Orbital speed's, well, it is climbing at this point. Yeah, that's true. I was going to say, I would expect it to be quite high since we're coming from so far away. I suppose we could do a bit of a burn to change things up here. There is an angle at which you won't drop your peri. Even here, you won't drop your peri. You'll mostly just be changing your apo, which is effectively slowing you down planet side. I think it's between retrograde and radial. Suppose we could try that. Turn this off. Actually, just go to normal SAS and assist. Yeah, the other way. Because that's towards the planet, so we want to be retrograde to slow ourselves down, but that will also be dropping our peri. But if we're also burning a bit radial, then we're burning directly away from the planet. Let's use the more advanced kill rot, and that should not. Let's see what happens. We got Delta V. So right now our peri is 5 kilometers. Yeah, that's actually raising our peri while dropping our apo, which is nice. So we can actually burn a little closer. Oh yeah, you gotta disable this a sec. A little closer to the retro. Peri is still rising, but I'm actually usually comfortable with a peri of around 20k. More importantly, it's dropping the apo, and our orbital speed is dropping. Not by that much, but we'll do what we can. Let me turn that off, go into normal SAS, and then point a little bit more here. There we go, now we're dropping the peri. As long as we hover somewhere around here. Yeah, this, now we're raising it. Ah, I like this. Very fun. So we'll just dump all of our Delta V. This isn't going to make a huge difference compared to just the air slowing us down, the air braking. But it's something. We may as well use it. May as well burn the rest of our fuel. I mean, we could leave it in orbit here and then like gather it up for something else later on. But we're not really set up for that yet. Okay, peri's getting a little too high. There we go. I mean, yeah, we have burnt off some of our orbital speed. Cool. Thank you very much for the advice on that, you guys. This is very handy. It makes perfect sense, too. Don't drop our parry too much. Just keep us looking for this sweet spot. I'm going to try to keep it between 15 and 20k. Wibble wobble. More precise. Look how low our Apo is now. Amazing. Somewhere around there. It's becoming a little too hard to... Oops. Stop. That's going to be too low and too steep. So let me burn completely just radially here. There we go. Which mostly raises our parry by dropping our Apo. And I'm going to call that good enough. I'm going to stop mucking about. Alright, 20k on the parry, which is good. We're going to face ourselves completely pro-radial. Because then that's when I like to do my jettison, because it drops this into a lower orbit, so it tends to burn up a little faster. It's not much of a difference, but it's a thing. So we'll lose some of our solar panels, although we still have others. We do have a heat shield down there. Hooray! Let me turn off this dish, because it does burn a lot of power. Also, actually, this thing would just burn up on re-entry, so we may as well deactivate it that way. You're going to be pointing surface retrograde for the actual re-entry, and we'll go ahead and just toggle the doors on these. Again, I don't think they're physics activated, but let's be safe. The telescopes, we never got anything with that. I think because I'd sent out a satellite with those, so there was no experiments to be had with those, but goo, yes. So we'll return with a little bit of science and 2 fewer Kerbals. I feel so bad! Oh, we got more solar pattern analysis? How does that work? Hadn't we already done that? Well, maybe you can keep physically gathering it over and over and over again without having to reset the experiment or collect it. Oh, alright, that's cool. Yeah, so quick save before we time warp again. Just gonna go to times 10. Actually, I guess we can times 50 a bit. Okay. About to run out of water. Just finish your sippy cups before we re-enter. Okay. And do that. I mean, we had no choice. Well, we had lots of choice for different things. I could have aborted the maneuver into deep space, right? Because I saw, I was like, oh, it's going to take 17 days to get out there. That's kind of risky. I should have just, at that point, aborted and come back home. And, you know, I made the decision to continue to press on, which cost the life of 2 Kerbals. That's just the kind of man I am. When you're running this science system, the Kerbal Science program, you really have no alternative but to make those sorts of hard decisions. Well, that's not true. You have lots of alternatives, but don't tell anyone. Otherwise, I might get sacked. All right, we're going to do a little physics warp here until we start getting this heat effects. Actually, we could probably keep going even then. Holding surface retrograde. There we go. Heat effects. Things are stable. Nothing's shaking itself apart, even with the physics warp. That's very good. So yeah, I don't know how important it was to bleed off a little extra speed, but it certainly seemed like a decent idea. I mean, it couldn't hurt. Oh, there we go. No more water. Like, oh, but it's getting so hot in here. I could really use a drink. Too bad. We're still in relatively thin air. Yeah, surface speed is not as high as it has been on my returns from the moon lately, so this should be relatively safe, which is good, because there's a lot more weight here and some extra little doodads. Hopefully I got lots of parachutes. I think I got 7 parachutes. I'm going to trust that that is sufficient. God, I hope so. Keep it locked on surface retrograde, because I don't trust this, really don't trust this to be aerodynamically stable. And this is a long episode, but I should have put a cut right before we didn't know if we were going to survive or not. Oh, that would have been super dramatic. But there we go. 1 complete mission. Ground's forming beneath us. No heat effects showing up at all. I mean, oh, no, as I say that, right over here. Is that the antenna? It's a little antenna that's sticking out, so it's getting a little bit... It's not terribly shielded. I mean, it's shielded a bit by the bulk over here, and I think it's going to be fine. Yeah, we've let off a lot of our speed. And meter's not really increasing, so I think that is going to be perfectly okay. Feeling very confident about this. So it would have been a perfect mission if only I'd brought some extra survival stuff. Looking at that wrong column. God. Because just doubling up on this would have been more than enough. Oh, you can get some scans. Cool. Keep that. Oh, temperature scan will actually open a box to perform it, but that's okay. There we go. And everything is hunky-dory. EVA report. I'm going to go with no. What does no sound? I can kill that hold. So lots of power, doesn't really matter. And yeah, it is sort of holding. I may have not needed it, but that wobble is pretty risky. And I don't have to deploy them yet. We're coming in over water, so we know the altitude over sea level is not going to be that problematic. So I'm going to go ahead and let us drop a little further. Do a quick save, just in case there's like a lag and I failed to deploy something, or there's a staging error. But our speed continues to drop. I mean, as long as it's below 250, we can deploy the chutes. And I'm going to wait for 2K. I'll deploy the initial step, and then they'll become fully deployed at 1K. And will it bring our speed down low enough? Here's hoping. And prepare for full deployment. We're hoping to get below 6 meters per second, ideally. I think we could survive an impact a little more than that, but that's always the goal. Looks like we're going to do... Oh, it is dropping. Looks like we'll do just below 7, which I think is going to be fine. Worst case scenario, the heat shield gets broken, although the heat shield may have a tolerance of 8 meters per second for the crash. So, in a quick save... Oh, I'll turn on the SAS, because when it lands here, I don't want it to flop over too much. I'm actually going to want to try to stabilize and fight the flop over. I'm going to go to ×4 warp here. That's what the quick save is for the ×4 warp. And hopefully everyone else will make it back alive. Just drew straws and threw someone out the airlock. No, they went willingly. Kerbals are brave and stupid. Oh no, we're out of food. Yeah, that's okay. We still have 14 minutes of oxygen left. Actually, we're not going to use any more oxygen. We probably would have depleted our oxygen, except that now that we're in an air-breathing planet, that has frozen. Plus, again, we still would have had 2 hours in our suits. So we're not time warping. Land. Are we really holding stable this way? And we can recover? Nope, there we go. That's what I was worried about right there. Lots of debris bits. Okay, we're going to quickly go and recover all our bits and pieces. Ah, if only I'd clicked the button while it was still standing upright. Maybe if I'd used the flight computer and actually told it to lock upwards, it might have, because there's a big fat reaction wheel there, it might have been able to pull it off. Okay, so that's the command module, but we want to recover the rest of the bits, which should be fine. We should be able to recover most of everything. There might be a couple of bits here and there that don't quite make it out. This is debris. The ship part over here. There we go. Recover. There we are. Science recovered. Astronauts recovered. Oh, there's debris that we can recover for money. Yeah, so these are just like some of the extra little rings, the batteries. Try not to pollute the oceans. Recover. Recover. No one died in that smash. So, out of curiosity, let's save and then switch to one of our astronauts and see exactly what they look like right now. Watch them still be alive in some like bizarre, weird way. Maybe they're frozen. They're in suspended animation. Yeah, they're fine. Let's switch to Ormal over here, who's currently on a recovery path. He dead, right? Okay, since I switched to him, it recognizes that. No, he's actually dead. I think that also would have happened if I'd flown a ship near them. That would have triggered an update, and that would have actually killed them. It removed him from the game, though, so he's never gonna die from like horrible re-entry. Okay, we're not gonna switch to Nazazu. We're gonna let him like die via re-entry. Oh, wait, we just quick save before switching to the other one. Okay, hold on, I was going to do that. Fortunately, I can't do the F5 actual quick save from the other screen. So what I want to do is fast forward and see him burn up. There he is here. If you do go fast enough, they can actually end up skipping the atmosphere sometimes because of the way like the distance travels. I've seen it happen. If you go like 100 times speed, I've seen them like effectively sort of teleport from here to here and never actually do the re-entry. That's not going to happen. Altitude, 200K. 150K. 100K. At 70K, he enters the atmosphere. Now enter the atmosphere. Cancel time warp? Surely he's going to burn up. Watch it, like, not update his life support. He's on his way back up. That doesn't make any sense. It didn't actually affect his path at all. What? Let's fly him. You're in the atmosphere now. Maybe you won't die from whatever. No, you're still out of food. It doesn't make any sense. How can you pass through the air, not crash land? Maybe you had enough to just swing through? Died of oxygen deprivation. Oh, maybe we waited too long. Could you imagine? If I'd switched him when we were still in the atmosphere, would he have survived? Okay, we have to test this. We have to test this, you guys. Dun, 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 dun. I mean, it's cheating. But I'm curious. We'll still, like, I don't know, fire him or something. So it's one of our quick save right over here. I think this is the right one. I actually should have quick saved one more time to make sure I didn't accidentally go too far back. But I don't think so. Oh yeah, we still have the other one. Alright, so this is Nazazu. Could you imagine they survive? I mean, they shouldn't even survive re-entry. And here, I don't think the atmosphere is affecting their speed at all. So if we were to switch to them when they're deep in the atmosphere, they'll instantly burn up. So what happens if we switch to him when he is at just below 70? So he's technically within the atmosphere right now. So I'm going to fly him. And we're going to see what happens. I'm going to assume he still dies. It still considers him to have died of oxygen deprivation. It should. Yeah, okay. Because it still recognized how long he'd been without. Thank God for that. Alright, so I'm going to switch to the other... well, I'll put a cut in here. I will switch to Orman between the scenes. Make sure he dies off properly. And next episode, we're going to play with the KAS, KIS system. And of course, we're going to mourn the loss of who's it and what's his name. Yeah, we've already forgotten him. Oh well, that's what happens. It's all fair in space travel. See you next time, folks. Bye-bye.